Right now, as I speak, millions and millions of drivers are saving money on their car insurance with Geico. If you're one of those drivers, well done. If you're not, it's easy to join them. Visit geico.com today.
On the phone with us now is pinch hitting for us, actually, is Ted Tollner. Ted, welcome to the show. You're on with Bruce and Mark.
Oh, pleasure to be on. Hello, guys.
Hey, Ted, thanks for joining us. You know, we were just going over this list of assistant coaches, and starting with BYU, since we last segment we did talk to Lavelle Edwards, who I know is a good friend of yours. What was it about being on the staff of BYU that led a lot of these guys to head coaching positions?
Well, I think winning obviously is one of them, because people are looking for coaches that are part of a winning program, and that's what they have had there. But I think the other part of it is that Lavelle lets you coach. I mean, Lavelle manages the program. He's in charge. He makes final decisions, but he's got such an ego that's such that he lets other people have responsibility. He's not afraid if they get some credit for it, and that usually allows guys to be, in demand, so to speak, and so they get other opportunities elsewhere from there. And he knows that he's running the program, and he knows he's in charge of it, but he's not afraid to share not only responsibility, but what kind of reward from getting acknowledgement also. That doesn't bother him to let it be shared around. And that's sometimes is unique. Every head coach isn't that way.
Now, is it a coincidence, Ted, that so many of his assistant coaches, yourself included, Andy Reid, Brian Billick, so many of them have gone on to such great careers in coaching? Is it a coincidence, or does Lavelle have that big of an influence?
Oh, I think he has the influence, and then he allows you to grow by having some responsibility that it takes to move on. And when I left there, I left and went to USC as the offensive coordinator for John Robinson before I became the head coach there. So it was and part of John wanting to hire me there was that we had a passing scheme up there that was recognized and productive, and he was looking for that. So it goes hand in hand with what they do and how Lavelle runs it all and gives you a chance to grow within the system.
I asked Lavelle in the last segment that he never wore headsets, and he let his offensive coordinator make the call until it was a crucial moment, and then he would get involved. That is a dying breed. I don't think you see head coaches do that anymore, do you?
Well, not as much. There's still some out there, but again, part of it is what your background is, and his background as an assistant coach before he became the head coach was more defensive oriented, and when he decided to go with the passing game and brought people in to run it, he allowed them to do it and allowed them to do the play calling. But anytime there was a critical play that the real critical ones that come up in a game, he would have some input on that. But for the most part, he would let you call the game if you're the offensive coordinator, and then he would get even a little more involved in the defense and the special team decisions, because that's where most head coaches kind of lean in the area where they grew as an assistant coach, and they usually have a little more input in that area.
Let's talk a little bit about Brigham Young University in 2012 now. They'll be in the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl against a team from the Mountain West Conference. We're still trying to figure out who that's going to be as of this broadcast, but the BYU is committed. And we were just looking over the stats. They're right now heading into this weekend's games. They're 6-5. But offensively and defensively, if you look at the numbers, they are outscoring their opponents. They have more first downs. They have more rushing yardage, more passing yardage. Statistically, they are just dominant. As a head coach, it's got to be frustrating to look at those numbers and find your record is only 6-5. How would you approach that as a head coach?
Well, it is frustrating when you're 6-5, and they're a very good 6-5 team. I mean, all 6-5 teams are not the same. You look at their schedule, and you just look at one game. Look at the Notre Dame game, who is number 1 in the country right now, and they had that game. I mean, they could have won that game. Now, Notre Dame, to their credit, came back and did win it, but that was a competitive, even match. So that puts you with the number 1 team in the country. So they've had a schedule where they've lost against some real good teams. And I believe the week before that might have been Oregon State. I can't remember. I don't have their schedule in front of me, but they lost to some real good teams this year.
Yeah, Oregon State and Notre Dame and Utah. was another team that they fell to, but they're all solid teams. In fact, last week they lost to San Jose State. A lot of people will say, "Whoa, San Jose State," but San Jose State is a solid football team.
No, they're very good this year. And the fact that their record indicates that they've really come back a long way. But I think that's how you have to approach it. If it's frustrating, but you're a solid football team. You've played a real difficult schedule and played with the best in the country and played them head to head. Even they won at the end, but that's how football is sometimes. Some of those close games fall your way. Sometimes they don't, and that can make the difference in being 8 or 9 wins and 6 wins. And if you have 8 or 9 and have beaten those teams, then you're ranked in the top 10. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't play with them on an equal status. So I think they're a very attractive team for the Holiday Bowl. And whoever that opponent is, I think it's going to be a tremendous game with both teams at that point being very, very capable of winning.
And Ted, how is it for a coach? It was an interesting situation when Bruce and I went up to Provo on November 10th for their game against Idaho. They have, after the game, they won handily, and we extended the invitation for them to play, and they accepted. They have 2 games left to play after that. They had San Jose State last week, and then they go to New Mexico State this week. What is that like? What do you tell your kids? Are you congratulating them for making it to the Poinsettia Bowl, or are you focused on those following 2 weeks?
Well, it's a difficult situation. When you've accepted to the Poinsettia Bowl, part of your challenge every year is to win enough games to be a bowl team. And so you've accomplished that. But normally what happens, I've been part of that before too, where you accept your bowl bid with games left, and you have to stay on top of your players as best you can. Listen, we got these are games on our schedule. We want to have the best record we can have, and we haven't, and that's our goal, to win as many as we can, not just get into a bowl. Let's go into a bowl. Let's go into the Poinsettia Bowl with a win. Now, they didn't get it against San Jose. They got one more chance now against New Mexico State, isn't it? They got one more chance
in Las Cruces.
And you want to go in with a positive feeling, but I think any time you accomplish one of your goals, there's a natural letdown that you can't allow to happen, but it's there. You just have to be aware of it and do the best you can, and hope your leadership on your team will help you overcome it.
All right, Coach, you've coached many, many years. Now you're on the outside looking in. Are you getting the itch? You wish you were still on the sidelines, or have you finally gotten past it?
Bruce, I don't think you ever get over the itch of the competition of game day and that part of it. Whether it's a Sunday in the NFL or a Saturday or whenever the game comes up, that part you'll never get over. That part is extremely exciting, and whether you have the up of a win or the down of a loss, that part I'll never get over. But along with any job, there's a whole bunch of other stuff you have to do that takes every day. And I think after 48 years of coaching, I like going to our meetings of the Poinsettia and Holiday Bowl on Monday at noon and being involved in that, because it isn't the everyday 16 to 18-hour grind. At this stage of my wife and our life, we want to be involved in other things. So it was the right time for us, but I'll never get over the excitement and the feeling you get of game day.
Well, we get a lot to talk about this coming Monday as we prepare for the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl on December the 20th and the Bridgepoint Education Holiday Bowl on December the 27th. Ted Tollner, Coach, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you coming in on the 11th hour and helping us out with today's interview.
Oh, you're welcome, Bruce and Mark. Take care.